Tesla is struggling to sell the $100,000 Cybertruck Foundation series and took the drastic step of removing the lower priced 80 grand offering from its website. This was where they were showing that they were going to offer that later, like next year. This stoked the media and Tesla haters to conclude the Cybertruck is weak and poorly received. I'm Bradford Ferguson. I'm here with Randy Kirk, the author of numerous books on Elon Musk, including the Elon Musk mission. Combined, we have over 10,000 hours studying Tesla, and I've gone to great lengths to gain special insights, including cross-country trips and factory stakeouts, and I'm a Cybertruck owner. Randy, do you own a Cybertruck?
We're on the list. We can't wait.
Okay. In this video, I'll discuss why the Tesla Cybertruck Foundation series is such a big deal, why Tesla's controversial cancellation of lower price models is a smart move, and why demand for Cybertruck is as strong as ever. So the Cybertruck, as originally unveiled in 2019, the two-motor version of it was priced at $50,000. And a three-motor version priced at $70,000. And at the time, the unveil broke the internet. The metal ball hit the glass, broke that glass, and it was embarrassing. But then, like, the Cybertruck really took off. It broke the internet, and the design broke new ground. And demand and interest was extremely high. What was your reaction, Randy, at the time to the unveil? And when did you end up pre-ordering the Cybertruck?
Well, my initial reaction was kind of like, oh my gosh, what in the heck? That's way beyond or way different than anything I would have ever imagined, thought. I took a minute then to contemplate what it all meant and what kind of an impact I thought it might have, on retail. Because I'm a product guy. My whole life, I'm a product guy. And then my wife took a look at it and she's like, I want one. and she's an English professor, okay? And she's like, no, I want one of those. And I said, all right, let's order one. So I think it was maybe the same day. I'm not sure. We ended up being about 165,000 on the list. We were pretty early in there, since I think some people think it got to 2 million or more. So now she's anxiously awaiting.
I think in the first couple of years, the pre-orders got toward 2 million, is like between 1.3 and 1.8 million. But a lot has happened since 2019 and now in August of 2024. What was the big thing that happened? Well, we had the health crisis, we had big inflation, a huge increase in the price of new vehicles in the United States. Many automakers gave up on selling lower priced vehicles in the US. And we had a shortage of vehicles in 2021. There was a whole chip crisis where automakers can get chips for their cars. And the average price of a car sold in the US really hasn't dipped much since the increase. With the huge demand and high pre-order numbers and inflation, Tesla could not just sell the Cybertruck at the old price. If they did that, the earliest customers taking delivery could just turn around and flip the first Cybertrucks for a huge profit. Randy, what do you think about the pricing decision that Tesla made, offering that two-motor version, which was unveiled for $50,000, offering it, combining it with some other things, and offering at $100,000?
Yeah,
twice the price.
Yeah. In the product business, we call this creaming the product. So you're trying to get the cream off the top of the milk, okay? And so you start off as high as you think you can possibly go. Now, that's not true for every single product, every single time. There are times when you're going to come in with a low ball price because you're going up against some kind of competitor. But generally speaking, if you're introducing something new and creative, you're going to go in as high as you think the market can bear. And then, the early adopters will pay the high price because that's the nature of the beast. So yeah, this would be the obvious thing to do. They've done it on other products. The 120,000 was no barrier for lots of folks, and there's lots of trucks out there that are 100,000. So it wasn't that big of a leap for a lot of people that are just normal truck buyers to pay the 100,000. It was out of my category for purchase because we drive. We're the national average on that vehicle, about 1,000 miles a month, and we weren't going to pay $100,000 to putt around town.
So you're waiting for a price drop, is that right? All right. So Tesla offered this $100,000 as a foundation series, and it is huge ask. But again, there were 2 million pre-orders, and the Cybertruck is very stark to look at. The design is very different. It's kind of like a spaceship, and I would call it a flex
refrigerator.
A refrigerator, yeah. I would call it a flex vehicle similar to a Lamborghini, which coincidentally, once had a boxy look to it. So Tesla, on top of this price, they added a prohibition from reselling. It threatened to sue people who did it for $50,000, wrote that in the contract, and banned them from life from buying from Tesla. This is something that Lamborghini and others do to prevent customers from flipping vehicles. However, the earliest customers still either found a way or they just decide to suffer the consequences. And this $100,000 variant showed up in auctions at $170,000. So demand for people wanting to be first to own the Cybertruck was insanely high. What do you think about that early pricing on the, we'll call it the black market, Randy?
Well, again, to be expected. Elon has talked about it. During the 3 years ago, 2 years ago period that you were talking about a minute ago, when the prices just went crazy, Elon was trying not to raise the prices as much. He was holding off on trying to keep the prices normal, but people were flipping them. And so he said, that's ridiculous. Why should we let these middlemen make the profit? It makes no sense. So we'll just raise the price to what the market is willing to pay. That had all kinds of consequences, short-term and long-term. But in general, this is obviously now a position that Elon takes, and made it very clear on this one that he didn't want people flipping them. It's a lot of trouble to sue. It's a lot of trouble to go out and chase people down on this kind of a situation. I do believe there was evidence that he went after one person. I can't remember exactly how that turned out, though.
Before we get into what the controversy is and what Tesla may be doing, I want to give a little more context into how Tesla sold these foundation series, because it provides some reasoning to what their possible plan might be. What Tesla did initially when they first started making them, and at first they were only making like 100 a week or 200 a week, and there's big demand, and Tesla invented a couple methods where people could, even though you had an order on the pre-order list, that you could bump yourself up in line. The first that they invented was if you had 30,000 points in the referral program, which is for recommending Teslas to other people, then you can move yourself up. And then Tesla IR had a great idea where if you're a long-term shareholder of Tesla and you could prove it, you could move yourself up. Obviously, there may have been some favoritism with celebrities getting them.
Definitely.
That got Tesla more attention, but maybe they were the ones.
I got the call, because I'm a big deal on YouTube,
But maybe some of the celebrities were the ones who paid, on the black market. And Tesla originally claimed when they first started Foundation Series, they'd only make 1,000 or so, but they saw that clearly demand was so high they would continue to offer it. Elon Musk on one of the conference calls talked about how they were a bit surprised by how strong demand was for the 100,000 two-motor Cybertruck. But one thing that was interesting was even at this time, they made it clear on their website that sometime later, possibly in 2025, the two-motor version was going to drop to $80,000 when Foundation Series. If you were looking at that at the time, you could decide to wait. So, what's the latest? Well, they've fully gone through the pre-order list, and over 25,000 people agreed to that much higher price. That's a huge win for Tesla. It enabled Tesla to spread their ramping costs across a much higher revenue. Maybe Randy, you could speak to that, and Elon talking about getting to break even on the Cybertruck toward later this year.
Yeah, so of course, accounting wise, you've got all this amount of money that you've put into the pre-production, the tooling, the R&D, the things that are going to be charged against the vehicle for a number of years. And then you also have a run rate in the factory that has to be divided into the total amount of dollars that you're spending for that factory on a daily basis. So this is the overhead impact on the vehicle. Then you have the fact that you're at a slow run rate, and so you're paying employees more money per vehicle because they're not as fast as they're going to be in the future. So all these things cause a vehicle's cost, the cost of goods, the total list on the cost of goods and overhead to be much higher in the early days of any ramp. And then that comes down rapidly as you get into higher and higher production. And there's also probably maybe some raw materials that you're bringing in that might cost a little more because you're buying them in smaller volumes. That's probably a minor issue. Anyway, so as you get into the ramp, all that comes down. But if you start out with a vehicle, in this case, $40,000 more than your eventual selling price, then that's going to suck up a lot of that extra cost in the beginning. I wouldn't have been shocked if they said that they were making money by the end of the first quarter, but they weren't, and not even by the end of the second quarter. But now they're saying that they're expecting to be fully in profits by the end of the first year, which is an extremely good result on a brand new vehicle.
I think maybe part of the reason for that is Tesla had to invent some new methods for making the vehicles. They had to create a new contract. I think they're not making the steel themselves. So they might have had to pay like some of the startup costs for whoever's making that steel and getting it into the form that Tesla needs. And we also heard that like as late as April, Tesla was still ordering some new equipment to help them out. And that was supposed to help them with some kind of bottleneck they had. So I think it's because of this new equipment and how unusual the product is, even though it still is panels, on the doors and stuff like that, but it is a different way to make it. So let's get back to it. So like Tesla's made over 27,000 Cybertruck. This comes from anecdotal evidence from vehicle ID number data or VIN data. But what's changed is if you put in an order for one now, you don't have to wait months. You don't have to wait 4 years like I did. You can take delivery within weeks. But does this mean that demand for Cybertrucks has evaporated? And I would argue no. It means that demand for the $100,000 one with two motors is nearing an end at that price. But Tesla, if they can, they still want to sell them for $100,000 a pop. Frankly, I don't blame them. That's what shareholders want. And one thing they've done is they started offering Cybertruck test drives at Tesla centers nationwide. But the second thing they did has been a real source of controversy and misunderstanding. And as they removed from their website their intention to offer a non-Foundation series for $80,000 at some later date. So Randy, why do you think Tesla would do that? Why would they remove that from their website?
I would think that the number one reason is because they're planning to change that information. The number two reason would be they don't want any more orders right now. So Elon has also mentioned in the past that it's bad customer service to be selling things that you know you can't deliver for 2 years. People just don't like that. And they've done that many times in the past. And so I think that's the second reason. But I do believe, and there was some evidence of that yesterday with some commentary from one of the executives. I think they're going to potentially give a new version. In other words, when they pop back out with the 80,000 or 60,000, when they start taking orders again, it may have some variations or some structural, some kinds of changes to what the offer is, and the pricing might be, very different than what they're offering now. In fact, when the orders are back open again, I wouldn't be surprised to see 2, 3, maybe even 4 different vehicles being offered simultaneously at different price points.
Interesting. And we also haven't mentioned the Beast. So right now the Beast is at $120,000. That's the one that can go 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. I think that's faster than a Model X Plaid. I could be wrong. And the Model X Plaid is really fast. But the Cyber Beast is heavier than the Model X Plaid. And the 2-motor version is 4.1 seconds. So it is substantially faster than the other one. Randy and I, we don't know the cost to Tesla when fully ramped of the Cybertruck. We don't know what that needs to be, but I think like intellectually, the Cybertruck may settle around the maybe 10 grand higher than the Model Y price. Where would you put that final price at if cost really wasn't an issue? Let me say it that way.
If cost was not an issue. Okay, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, as a guy who's marketed, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of products and brought products to market over the years, you always want to sell for as much as the market will bear. And sometimes Elon confuses me a little bit, where it seems like, for instance, on energy storage products, like your favorite product, the Mega Pack, it would seem like they're dropping the price just because. And I've given some ideas before on why that might be, but it seems like they're not charging what the market can bear. But I'm not in the room. I'm not there in the negotiation, so it's unclear. But that's what you would normally do. Okay, you don't care at all what the cost is, except to the extent that you have a minimum margin that you want to make. So I would say they're going to lower the price to what they think the market's going to be. At some point, you're going to get into equilibrium. Okay.
Yeah.
So whether that's a year from now, whether that's 2 years from now, at some point, you're going to have enough orders. Your backlog is only going to be a few months. And you're going to have to start really paying attention to the market. And again, their original idea was to put this out at 40,000 for the lowest, a single motor, I guess, version would be around 40,000. That would, just based on inflation, probably be at least 50,000 now. So I'm not really expecting to see any future version that's under 49.9.
Okay. And so, I've kind of forgot about the pre-orders, and, we talk about different issues. You brought it up again. It's like, yeah, there's still the 2 million pre-orders.
Right.
And if people order today, they have to get in line. And that's a big problem. And I thought about that initially when they were showing off the Cybertruck at Tesla centers, is people who weren't aware of the pre-orders would put in an order for the $80,000 version, not knowing that they're going to have to wait a long time. If people are not a long-time reservation holder, they may not be as pumped about the Cybertruck. So when you go to the website and you see you can get one now for either 100,000, or if they left up the old listing, you wait a year to get it for 80 grand. I think most people would decide to wait a year to get it for 80 grand. Like Randy Kirk, you're a big Tesla nerd. You love Elon Musk, and you're waiting. Like, all this cool stuff about Tesla, and you're waiting. And, the average person doesn't know what you have. So
yeah, I'm a most people don't know this about me. Other than vacations, I'm a very practical person. I've been to Hawaii 35 times and I'm going again next May. So I'm not practical about vacations, but I am very, very practical about almost everything else in my life. And again, it doesn't make any sense to pay a super high premium to drive as little as we drive. We're going to be that person that drives the car just because, because it's fun. And
Yeah.
so we have a Model Y now, and my wife again is her car, and she comments that she feels sorry for everybody that doesn't have one.
Well, Randy, you don't need to apologize. We're not going to cancel you from the Tesla community. It's all right. So what does Tesla do from here? They have this pre-order list. They might still drop, at a version that's at $80,000, but then they're going to offer that to my opinion is they're going to offer that to the pre-order list.
Yes.
Through the 2 million pre-orders. I think a more realistic way to think about the pre-order list is, maybe you could cut it in half. There are a lot of Tesla people who reserved more than one, hoping to run their Cybertruck as a robo-taxi. And while FSD is really good, it's not you can't run it as a robo-taxi yet in a Tesla app. So those people might be waiting. Maybe some people will cancel those. But I think at least 1 million pre-orders are good. Maybe there's some others where the timing of the purchase isn't going to work as far as when Tesla offers the truck to them versus when not. So I think generally speaking, what Tesla's going to do is they're going to offer another version, kind of like you said, Randy, at $80,000. It won't say Foundation Series on it. But if you want to, you can pay $100,000 and skip the line. What do you think of that, Randy? That might be a little awkward, but it'll be Foundation Series and it'll have FSD and it'll have, other things built into it.
Yeah. So, we've just gotten, what was that, a couple of weeks ago, I think one of the first bundles that Tesla has ever offered. And so maybe bundling will become a thing in the future. I think it's a really good idea. I think they should start bundling the Model Y with FSD now. I kind of, prepare the FSD world, the folks who are interested at all in FSD for a time when maybe it'll just be a stock part of what you get when you buy the car. But maybe the car costs $20,000 more. It's an interesting world that we're entering, but I would agree with you that the number of people that will actually take advantage of the reservation will be less than the 2 million or whatever it is now. But I don't think it'll be the entrepreneurs that will be the ones that don't buy, because anybody that's entrepreneurial enough to think about using it in the FSD, as a robotaxi, recognizes that in between, when it's not a robotaxi, you could get $200-300 a day on Turo and make all kinds of money. If I was 10 years younger, I would have taken the $100,000 model already and put it on Turo.
Just my personal experience driving the Cybertruck around, I still get a lot of these and people laughing or whatever. It's still new to a lot of people. There's still a big reaction to it. The other thing that we'll look to add is how the Ford Raptor, where that starts at, and some pricing to that. So we'll add that as far as the eventual selling price of the Cybertruck. But I think they try and sell it for about $80,000 for a while and continue to offer Foundation for people who want to skip the line, and they'll go through the whole list at $80,000. And if you don't want it at 80, you're going to have to wait. And then maybe they offer it at 65 or 62 after that. So I think it'll be about a year of them offering it at whatever the lower price is going to be.
Oh yeah, I think you're talking about a year. 250,000 is their expected, I think, run rate for next year. So 250,000 at 80,000 would not be shocking. And then I think they'll be at 59.9. I think that'll be the next model that's offered. And then at that point, you'll probably have, as I said, maybe 3 or 4 different price points to choose from.
All right. So I'm curious what you all think. Is this going to create an awkward situation? Maybe there's a better way. So we want to hear from you how you think Tesla might handle this. So drop a comment below with your ideas. And yeah, I think the 2-motor variant may end up around 62,000 or so. That's where I'm at. Nothing's wrong with the Cybertruck. People think it's cool. There's a lot of people who aren't into EVs. They don't understand EVs, so they bash it, or that's not a real truck, even though my Cybertruck can kick their truck's ass. It's not a real truck. You could literally take like a mallet to the Cybertruck, and like at best it's gonna scuff it. It's tough. It has a full-size bed, and it's really powerful. It also drives like a Tesla, which is cool.
And if you have a Raptor and you come up to the stop sign right next to Bradford, don't even think about it. There's already videos out there on the dirt with the Cybertruck crushing the Raptor.
Or you'll want to look to see the back of the Cybertruck if it has the Cyber Beast on it or not. If it's got the Cyber Beast, you don't have a chance. All right. Well, you can find Randy Kirk on, what's the name of your channel on YouTube, Randy?
Randy Kirk. Anyway, I'm Randy Kirk 1. I forget. I can't keep track of all my handles here and there and everywhere. But if you look up Randy Kirk, believe me, there's way over 1,000 videos.
And I appear weeklies on Thursday on Randy's channel, and I'm looking forward to doing something with you tonight. Again, this fake news that Tesla took it off their website. Most people, if they look at the website, they see a version that's 100 grand and a version that's 80,000. They're going to wait a year for the one that's 80,000. These are people who like haven't made a bunch of money on Tesla stock, like a lot of people who listen to our channel. So it was smart of Tesla to take it off their website for now. So that's where we're coming from. The rest is fake news. Just kidding. And with that, I'm going to say bye for now.
So